He beheaded his father and posted it on YouTube. Here's what happened next. On January 30th, 2024, a horrifying act of violence shocked the community of Levittown, Pennsylvania, and captured the attention of the entire nation. Justin Mohn, a 33-year-old former Microsoft employee, carried out a crime so gruesome that it was almost incomprehensible. He fatally shot his 68-year-old father, Michael F. Mohn, in their home, and then proceeded to decapitate him. This alone was a tragedy, but what made the case widely known was Justin's decision to film a 14-minute video of the decapitation and upload it to YouTube, where it remained publicly viewable for several hours before being removed. In the video, Justin held up his father's severed head and issued violent statements against federal government employees, referring to himself as the leader of an extremist group he called Mohn's Militia. The video was shocking in its content, in its callousness, and in its calculated intent to spread fear and incite violence. The sheer audacity of posting such an act online left viewers and authorities alike horrified, and the video would come to serve as key evidence in the ensuing investigation and trial. Justin's upbringing and background provide some context, though they in no way excuse his actions. He grew up in Levittown, in a family that, by most accounts, seemed ordinary. His father, Michael, was a dedicated federal employee, working as an engineer with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and was described by colleagues and family members as conscientious and methodical. Michael Mohn had a reputation for integrity, for hard work, and for his devotion to family. Justin, as the eldest son, appeared outwardly to be intelligent and capable, excelling in school and eventually securing a position at a major technology company. Those who knew him described him as highly intelligent, creative, and sometimes eccentric, but few could have predicted the violent path he would later take. In the months leading up to the murder, Justin became increasingly obsessed with anti-government rhetoric and conspiracy theories. He began posting online about treason, government corruption, and his belief that violent action against federal employees was justified. He expressed distrust and resentment toward authority figures, and he appeared to increasingly isolate himself from family and friends. According to investigators, he acquired weapons and researched bomb-making techniques, and he meticulously planned his attack on his father, whom he believed had committed treason. Justin's mental state at this time was complex. Experts would later testify during the trial that he exhibited signs of delusional thinking and extreme radicalization, though he was aware of the illegality and severity of his actions, making the crime premeditated and deliberate. On the day of the murder, January 30th, 2024, Justin's wife, Denise Mohn, returned home to find Michael's decapitated body and immediately called authorities. The scene inside the home was horrific. Police found the father's body in the bathroom, while his head had been placed in a plastic bag in the bedroom. Nearby, a machete and a kitchen knife were discarded. The deliberate nature of the act was evident not only in the crime itself, but also in the video Justin had filmed, which authorities quickly secured as evidence. Later that day, Justin attempted to breach Fort Indiantown Gap, the Pennsylvania National Guard headquarters, with a loaded firearm and a USB drive containing further threatening materials, including images of federal buildings and instructions for creating explosives. His apprehension at the base prevented what could have been an even more catastrophic event, but the horror of his actions in the home remained undeniable. The ensuing investigation was swift and thorough. Law enforcement officials meticulously documented the crime scene, collected digital evidence from Justin's devices, and interviewed family, neighbors, and acquaintances to piece together a timeline of events and motivations. Investigators found extensive writings and online posts by Justin that reflected his growing radicalization and his belief that violent action against government employees was justified. These materials would later form a significant part of the prosecution's case, illustrating both premeditation and ideological motivation. During the trial, Justin admitted to killing his father, claiming he was performing a citizen's arrest for alleged treason. He stated that he believed Michael had made false statements and was acting in a way that he thought undermined his own political or ideological goals. He described the murder as Plan B, claiming he had hoped the video would go viral and serve as a warning to others. He detailed shooting his father with a recently purchased pistol and then decapitating him with a machete and kitchen knife. The courtroom was tense and filled with emotion, as the enormity of the crime was made painfully clear to all present. Prosecutors challenged Justin's account, presenting evidence that the murder was premeditated, ideologically motivated, and intended to terrorize. They highlighted the materials he had massed, the weapons he possessed, and the deliberate filming of the crime as evidence of intent. The prosecution also presented testimony from mental health experts who analyzed Justin's behavior and ideology. While they acknowledged his intelligence, they explained that his extreme delusions and radicalization played a significant role in his actions. Nevertheless, they emphasized that he was fully aware of the illegality and the moral reprehensibility of what he was doing. This distinction was critical, as it reinforced the premeditated nature of the crime and countered any argument that he had acted without understanding the consequences. Michael Mohn's family delivered powerful victim impact statements during the trial. They remembered Michael as a loving father and husband, a devoted professional, and someone who had always placed family and duty above all else. The emotional weight of their testimonies underscored the magnitude of the loss and the betrayal inherent in a father being murdered by his own son. Friends, neighbors, and colleagues echoed these sentiments, describing Michael's life as one of service and integrity, and highlighting the incomprehensible nature of the violence committed against him. The case drew national attention not only because of the brutality of the act, but also due to the social media dimension. The fact that Justin filmed and posted the murder online raised urgent questions about the role of platforms like YouTube in monitoring violent content and the challenges of regulating extremist material. Experts and commentators debated how digital platforms can inadvertently facilitate the spread of extremist ideology and what measures could be implemented to prevent similar tragedies. In July 2025, after a week-long bench trial, Justin Mohn was convicted of first-degree murder, second-degree murder, terrorism, abuse of a corpse, and related offenses. Bucks County Judge Stephen A. Core sentenced Justin to 2 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. The sentencing marked a historic moment, as it was the first time a defendant had been convicted under Pennsylvania's terrorism statute. The judge described the actions as a cold, calculated, and organized plan, and emphasized the need to protect the community from individuals who pose a serious ideological and physical threat. In the aftermath of the trial, public discussion continued around mental health, radicalization, and family dynamics. Experts highlighted the importance of early intervention, noting that signs of extreme ideological obsession or violent tendencies often appear before such acts occurred. The case also underscored the need for communities to be vigilant, for families to seek help when warning signs arise, and for social media companies to monitor harmful content more effectively. Discussions extended into schools, workplaces, and policy forums, exploring how society might better identify and address potential threats before they manifest in violence. The story of Justin Mohn and the murder of Michael Mohn is a chilling reminder of the devastating consequences of radicalization, untreated mental health issues, and ideological extremism. It compels us to reflect on societal responsibilities, including the ways communities, families, and institutions can work together to prevent similar tragedies. It also raises important questions about the ethics of sharing content online, the psychological effects of extremist propaganda, and the delicate balance between free expression and public safety. In reflecting on this tragedy, one cannot help but consider the human cost of such crimes, not just in the immediate loss of life, but in the emotional trauma experienced by surviving family members, friends, and the wider community. The case demonstrates the intersection of personal obsession, ideological extremism, and technological tools in facilitating acts of violence. It also illustrates the resilience of communities and the legal system in responding to unprecedented acts, seeking justice, and attempting to prevent recurrence.